And persons who deliberately dispose of petroleum waste products here in the Virgin Islands may soon pay a heavy price as government moves to crack down on the unlawful act. Speaking at the launch of the Petroleum Safety the Smart Way campaign by Sol and the Department of Disaster Management on March 1st, Minister for Communications and Works Mark Vanterpool endorsed the initiative, which seeks to promote the safe handling of diesel, gasoline, liquid petroleum gas or LPG, and other petroleum-based products. Minister Vanterpool revealed government's plans to introduce the Oil Discharge Prevention, Liability and Compensation Act that is likely to impose heavy fines and penalties on offenders.
Many of us are very much aware of the United States and right across the United States Virgin Islands through the Environmental Protection Agency and their act that any simple oil spill that you commit within the Virgin Islands of the United States, watch out. You have to pay and pay daily, and sometimes be imprisoned because of the danger to the environment, danger to health and life. And so we would like to put some legislation in place. In fact, the drafting of this legislation started by the previous government. And it could have been, the act that I saw, the first draft, was an act called the 2011 Act that was being drafted, 2011, as far back as that. So we are trying to finalize it now and bring it to the House of Assembly eventually for debate and approval. In my short time in dealing with some of these matters, we had a few incidents. One was very serious in my view, right in the city of Rotterdam, where a deliberate act was performed by pouring oil into the sewage treatment plant. Sorry, the sewage pump station at the roundabout, which created a major spill in the gutter along the way and major efforts and costs in cleanup. But more importantly, the environmental impact it had on the town, but we had to urgently avoid the oil being spilled into the sea. That could create more danger to our shoreline and the sea life. So I think persons need to be more aware, which is what this campaign is about, of what can happen. And while the accidents can happen, we must also be prepared to deal with persons who deliberately commit these acts. And this is one of the reasons we are taking this legislation forward.
Highlighting the goal of the Petroleum Safety the Smart Way campaign, General Manager at Sol BVI Liz Wyatt says the public interacts with petroleum every day, especially LPG, and in many cases safety is not a priority. She added that Sol will provide technical support to agencies like the Department for Motor Vehicles to ensure safe handling of petroleum products.
We rack up so many exposure hours on the ocean, on the roads in BVI. And one of the things that we are incredibly aware of is just how dangerous it can be to be transporting these fuels. Okay, so why a petroleum campaign? Well, as Mr. Bro said, we interact with it every day, we know we need it, we use it, but do we really understand the risks and dangers? What we're here to do over this first 3 months is start getting the public to understand what they're dealing with every day. We're also looking at educating importers, retailers, marinas, and resellers. That is level 2. Okay, these are people that are responsible for handling the product every single day. And there are many people that I see driving around that are not licensed to handle, they have no training in it, and yet they will have multiple canisters of LPG. You will have people from sailboats refueling at our service station. It's not always done in a safe way, and sometimes I myself have to cringe.
An expert from Sol Barbados will visit Tortola as part of the campaign activities and will facilitate a training session on March 11th for government entities that deal with property inspections, independent service station operators, and key stakeholders. The launch of the Petroleum Safety Campaign is expected to improve awareness about petroleum disaster preparedness and prevention, according to Director at the Department of Disaster Management, Charlene Dabrio.
The majority of the spills that have been occurring in the BVI has really been as a result of inadequate transportation or willful acts on the part of those who are transporting especially waste oil. And we had a significant problem a few years ago with waste oil sewage mix that was dumped into one of the sewage stations that had just been constructed by the ministry. And that has repeated several times. So there needed to be stricter controls in terms of how individuals access that station. One of the other concerns we're seeing is just how people store and how they place their waste oil at the dump sites, how they store them once they're finished with their servicing of their vehicles, because the reality is many of us do service our vehicles at home. So we need to get people to understand the implications of just pouring that waste oil into the soil. Oil is something that does not decompose. It goes into the soil layers and it can have significant impacts years and years to come. So it is quite detrimental to our environment, and the fact that we depend on our water resources and our beaches is even more critical for us to understand how we should dispose and transport oil.
The SOL DDM Petroleum Safety the Smart Way campaign launch is a public-private partnership and will run for the next 3 months. SOL says it has dedicated millions of dollars to improve safety at its depots and storage facilities in BVI and across the Caribbean.